Hey guys, this is National Master Kevin Yang back at it with another video. So today we will be talking about a game with Fupalicious, none other than Fupalicious. All right, so let us begin. So this was I like this game because it really showed the powerfulness of the center, right? Sometimes I show you openings like the modern that you might have not as much control on the center, but this one really showed why the center is important. So d4, d5, c4, knight f6. So at this point, after c takes d5, I would suggest if you want to play this move, play the move c6. Right after c6, d takes c6, knight takes c6, knight f3, and I would suggest the move e5. Why? After d takes e5, queen takes d1, king takes d1, knight g4, king e1, bishop c5, e3, and something like knight g takes e5. So although black might be down a pawn here, there's certainly compensation because, for one, if you think about it, white has to take a little bit of time to develop, right? And so after, if you don't want to trade queens, play something like bishop g4 or something like that. Bishop g4, and then after e3, you could play e5 as you please again. But what I'm saying is, I feel like after d takes, knight takes, you have two pieces developed. White has none. So this lead in development is going to make up for a pawn. Like, if you think about it, it does. And sometimes it pays off, sometimes it doesn't. So instead, Fupalicious went knight takes d5, and here I showcase how powerful the center is. So I play e4. Knight b6, and I think, okay, now I gotta develop my knights, right? So now I play knight c3, knight c6, and now once again, the power of the center, d5. Now, what happens with d5? It takes away these squares, right? So some people play knight a5, but there might even be like b4. Some people play knight b8 and just roll with it. After f4, knight f3, they just roll with it. But our Fupalicious went knight e5, and now I show the power of these center pawns. They do so much at the start of the game. So after f4, you either go back to d7 and you allow the knight to f3, or you go back to g6, and then after f5, knight e5, bishop f4, and after something like f6, after bishop takes e5, f takes e5, queen h5, and that's not great. So knight g6 is not an option. So what else is not an option? Let's look at the move knight e d7. This is probably your best option. Now, white could play the move a4, threatening a5. That's one. Or white could play knight f3 and just develop bishop d3, castles, just roll with it, right? This is where the center space advantage is going to pay off. You kind of see that previously, okay, black was ahead in developing these knights, but now white has these two knights out in their ideal positions, and these two are not coordinating well. The bishops can't get out, and it's a clumsy position all along. So after f4, bishop g4, a very interesting try from Fupalicious, but after queen c2, I have two motives. One, get my knight to b5 and pressure c7 this way, and 2, just escape the threat. So after knight c4, bishop takes, knight takes, queen a4 with a check, with a double attack, and queen takes, g6, and you notice the rest of the game, I am simply going to develop, trade pieces, and go with it. So bishop e3, a6, let me just trade that bishop, f6, e5. Now I'm pushing more into the center because at the very start, all of the terror fight begins at the center. And of course, with b5, queen e2, bishop g4, and after e takes f6, I'm threatening checkmate. I'm threatening the bishop. And after bishop takes f3, that is checkmate. So, what is there to learn in this game? Well, um, really, it's, here's a move. To me, knight c6 felt like a little bit of an inaccuracy because, first of all, this gave me the right to push on, right, with a tempo and sort of build my structure a little bit. So this was a little bit, and especially after bishop g4, things started tearing apart, and then all broke loose in the center. So, on to the next game of Fupalicious. In this game, this was another one of those Queen's Gambit triangle structures. And before we watch this game play out, I just want to say that this probably is the hardest game I've played throughout the Simul. Throughout my history with the Simul, this is probably one of the hardest games I've played. What else? There was a game with RU Ninja a few weeks back that was also really challenging, and this really matches the level of difficulty. This is like trying to hold this against a 2000 level player, and Fupalicious was playing great. So let's look at the game. Enough with the praise, let's go in. d4, d5, c4, e6, knight c3. So once again, I am showing you that I'm setting up a triangle setup or a pyramid setup, whatever you want to call it. e4. Now, this is the main move, right? So after d takes, knight takes, this is all book. Bishop b4, and here there are two variations. One variation is the much more risky one. Bishop d2, queen takes d4, bam, bam. Some people play knight e2, some people play bishop e2. So after bishop e2, right, this really depends. Knight a6, bishop a3, I don't know what the variation is, but the kind of compensation that white gets is from queen to d6 and really this long diagonal because it's very vulnerable. So that's the main advantage to this variation that white plays. So instead, our Fupalicious plays the move knight c3, and just to let you know, I got this triangle set up from actually playing this on the white side myself. So I've actually played this setup, knight c3. I've played the move knight c3 multiple times because I used to be a d4 player and I used to face this sort of triangle setup as well. So after c5, bishop e3. Now, here's one thing you want to keep in mind. Bishop e3, it's a good move, but when I was learning this side, this white side setup of the triangle defense, I was told play knight f3 here, and this is what I was told. So after knight f6, knight f3, what is it? Knight f6, bishop e2, and only until when black plays knight c6, then you play bishop e3. Now, I don't know why this is the case, but I was just told that, and maybe you wanted to make a note of it. So, there you go. So in the game, c5, bishop e3, knight f6, it sort of petered out into the same variation. Now, at this point, on the black side, I've never played this in a real game, right? So I have seen an international master play it. I've played this against a expert level player. So I don't know what kinds of moves are good for black here, right? So some people play knight g4. They want to go for this bishop, right? That's could be one move. Some people play knight e4 and want to capitalize on the pin. Could be a good move too. And some people just, well, I played queen a5 to just capitalize on the pin. But some people just castle. And I think that's the most logical idea because there's no way white should be taking on c5 because first of all, this just ruins the pawn structure. And you know that I am big on pawn structure. So instead, I play queen a5, and after queen c2, now, here's one thing you want to remember in the triangle. Although this might sound really weird, now at this moment, when I play queen a5, the correct move is to disregard the material. So, just castle. And now, for players that care about material, you might think, what if bishop takes, b takes, queen takes, right? And in fact, this is a horrible move from black side. Why? Because first of all, we need to punish black's development with the move d5. After e takes, c takes, this pawn starts running, and there's rook c1. And after knight e7, there's bishop takes c5. So think of it like this. Black, if white castles, black is going to castle as well. Just think about it like that. So b takes, and here I would not play queen takes c3. I would castle. So if you were wondering what I was going to do with that, just remember, I would never take twice. So after c takes d4, knight takes c4, knight takes, bishop takes, and I wanted to test our Fupalicious' tactical vision, and indeed, he saw that after e5, bishop takes e5, queen takes e5, there's the move queen a4. Now, did I actually see this in the game? For a split second, yeah, but that was after I played the move e5. The brain clicked, bishop takes e5, queen takes e5, queen a4, and I believe, remembering back to one of the games I played, somebody played e5 and I snatched off e5, so I have had experience in this setup as well. Well, that experience really comes from all the games over a span of like 10 years that you've played against random people. So after bishop takes, queen takes, and at this moment, black is in a very uncomfortable position. So at this point, black can't castle, and not sure if black would prefer queenside castling because there's an open hole. But I will leave you at this, and I'll see you in the next Fupalicious video.